fouls at all.
Superstar whistle, right?
Yeah, he doesn't get that at all. No, he gets the whistle against him on a weird degree.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, he doesn't get the superstar whistle for him, right?
Yeah, no. Yeah. This guy, Victory Lap, says, whooped our asses. Yep.
Quite literally.
There you go.
Quite literally.
Yep.
That is funny.
Whooped our asses.
What's up next? What are we doing next?
Dan just told me
Kuminga.
Dan just told me to be careful with what I say. Hey, you're watching Dubstock Live, brought to you by Mancini's Sleep World. Jonathan Kuminga has now stretched his consecutive games of double-digit scoring up to 20 consecutive. That is a career high there, 20 points, leading all bench scores for the Warriors, 11 rebounds as well to lead the Dubs in that category. Jonathan Kuminga has been putting together a collection of good games.
He really has, and he's been showing what he's been saying in his post-game pressers. I'm a professional. Regardless of if I'm coming off the bench, regardless of my minutes, I am going to be able to play and produce. And that's what he's been doing. Think about the fact that at the half, Kuminga had only played 11 minutes, only had 6 points, and only 5 rebounds. By the end of the game, added on to that, especially when the Warriors needed him, being able to add on another 14 points, another 6 rebounds. This is exactly what they needed, especially considering they couldn't get any production out of anybody else. And he was the person, fearless, going in, getting contact, drawing contact, and doing the things necessary that the Warriors needed to try and stay in this game. And he was the only one. When you look at the box score, you realize Stephen Curry, of course, 26. The next closest is JK, and then outside of that, I mean, Klay Thompson, only 9 points, minus 22 for the night. You look at Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins, we'll talk about him too, did perform better. I think that was one of the things that you like about the fact that there is more time now being played with Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga both on the floor, because they're both more aggressive offensively, and they're being able to play against each other. But Joku, really impressed with his ability to say, all right, first half was not that great.
Okay.
Let me wash that off and go in second half, help my boy out.
Didn't he just had the game where he had a 17-point fourth quarter as well. So it's like when you watch a marathon runner and then you learn that they're running faster mile splits toward the end of the race. You're like, how do you have those young legs? How do you do that?
It's a track thing. It's a track thing. Running them down, right?
How do you do that?
Running them down.
Okay.
And that's what I love about Joku's game, is that he still has that extra gear in him. And I think that especially when you think about young players, I think, you know, Brandon Pajewski shows this sometimes too. It's just that they got that extra gear of competitiveness of like, I really want this at the end. And it's good that they have someone like Joku on the team. You know, Kuminga's doing that for the team, and they need a little bit more.
Jonathan's in a place, it's interesting because I don't know if anyone will be more affected by Draymond's return than JK. And he's going to get his minutes. It just depends on where. So how does Draymond's return impact Jonathan Kuminga? They both typically, you know, play the 4, unless there's those weird games where Draymond's at center and they're doing small ball, but there's just a lot of things that are unresolved right now in the lineup.
Right. Well, it was interesting because the most productive lineup today actually had the both of them in it. It was Curry, Green, Wiggins, Kuminga, and Pods. They were +8, 66% from the field, solid, 50% from 3, 2 of 4. They had a total of about 3.3 minutes together today. I think that they work well together, especially with Jonathan at the 4 and Draymond at the 5, just because of Draymond's ability to be that floor setter, while Kuminga has the space to dive and move and do all the things that he'd like. Now, when you're looking at some of these other lineups, there was a lot of experimenting today, which I appreciated. There was a lineup that was for about 2 minutes, Green, Saric at the 5 and 4, and then Kuminga at the 3. This is very interesting because that's typically a Thompson-Wiggins position, right? And I think that Kuminga has earned the trust of the coaches in his ability to be a slasher, in his ability to be a big wing, which the Warriors really need, and play alongside that size. And when you're thinking about teams and opponents with big lineups, you look at Roddy today, it's a big body inside, Jaren Jackson Jr., big body inside. They were trying to find opportunities to have some size, but they wanted a skillful mix. And Dario was incredibly skillful today. Outside of the fouls, he was what you needed in terms of just being able to make the right pass, make the right shot. Draymond obviously being that guy, and then Kuminga being an added offensive asset. So I really like that mix too. Draymond coming in and now pushing Kuminga not only to the 4, but also to the 3 as an option.
Dario was somebody who had his three-point shot going when really nobody else did. That's interesting. If Jonathan Kuminga is earning this trust and earning these minutes and trying to force his way onto the court, make those tough decisions for coaches, in the event he would play the 3, that would be very interesting to unseat Clay or to unseat Wiggins. But these are the tough decisions that coaches have to make.
1,000%. And I think that this year it's fun because it is going to be dependent.
Yeah.
It's going to be dependent upon opponents. It's going to be dependent upon people's play and production. And that's valid. Okay. Right? Rather than just giving a job to someone just because, let people earn it.
Whew. Okay, let's take a look at some of these young legs. This is one of the highlight pieces of video from the game today. It's in the third quarter. You're going to see this. Where's the block? Where's my stuff?
Were you waiting for it?
I was waiting for something. All right, it was a TJD block, then a Pods rebound, then a JK dunk, and then a Lester assist. Okay, Here we go. So anyway, there's the block. Okay, Pods rebound, looking up the floor, ball handling here. Goes to Lester, who finds JK. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so the ages of those people, 23, 20, 21, and Lester is 23. So the Warriors need a little youth on this team.
They do.
This is respect to the veterans, the core of this team, but 2 timelines. Who's coming up right now for the Warriors? JK is very important to that, and now you have 2 really promising young rookies.
And especially, I'm loving that Lester has gotten some time here, right? We're talking about building trust. We're talking about being able to show coaches your ability to come on the floor and be trusted to take care of the ball and to produce. And that sequence that you just mentioned, Kerith, perfect example of what having a little extra bounce in your step looks like, right? And that's what the Warriors really need, especially on the nights where Stephen Curry is, quote, wiped out, right? Or Clay's shot isn't hitting, or teams have scouted and schemed very well for the fact that the Warriors have been the splash bros for a long time, and now you have to force them into the paint. That was one big positive tonight. The paint points, 62-20.
That's exactly where we were going next.
Oh,
okay,
there we go. Well, that was a really huge thing for the Warriors tonight, to be able to adjust their game to the fact that they were cold, frigid from 3, but they were hot inside. And I think that the Warriors being able to capitalize on that also came from their youth too, because Pods was taken in there, Kuminga was taken in there, and I'm not going to say it was the thing that was, galvanizing Wiggins to take it in there, because that's what he does anyways. But you want to see that when you know that next generation, they're not a huge 3-point shooting team like the vets are. But you saw Lester being able to do that, Quinones being able to do that, Kuminga being able to do that. You want them to have variation to their game, because the second you become a one-dimension team, they got you scouted out. Yeah. There's not much you can do. And then there's absolutely no chance for this season. So I like the fact that there's different dimensions being built on the Warriors game.
The Splash Brothers helped win championships, but the rest of the league has caught up.
That's
so now you have to change your game back. Okay, so you mentioned 62 points in the paint.
Yes.
Only 10 free throw attempts? We got conspiracy theories, or all the Warriors fans shouting, they never give us the whistle, especially when it comes to Steph, who was driving today.
And that was... one free throw attempt. One free throw attempt. Again, I'm not trying to be a homer. This is just basketball.
No, that stands out.
Okay, that stands out. Yeah. Someone is in the paint, shoots 26 points and makes them 11 for 20, and gets 1 free throw attempt. Yeah, no.
Where's the superstar whistle?
It's not there. It's non-existent.
Is Steph not
in
a
this game,
superstar
at
in this
least.
league? Yeah.
Which was, and I mean, again, the head shaking.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't as if it was a clear path every single time for him to the basket. Yeah. He was drawing defenders. And so that was questionable, to say the least. I'm not trying to get fined, though.
No, we're not trying to get fined. No, I don't know. There's a whole lot of things that stand out in this very horrible, no good,
and weird box score, y'all.
Loss.
This should be framed for just...
Framed or burned? Which would you?
Ooh,
which would you? We can't set off any smoke detectors.
Yeah, you know what?
No, maybe not.
It's definitely going to be something that the Warriors need to just...
Okay. All right. Warriors desperately want to go. Kobe. Sorry, they want to go to the next game. We'll take a look at the schedule. We got the Jazz coming up, and then, my goodness, can the Warriors claw out of being a team that's 4 games under 500. We'll take a look next. Okay, we are on YouTube. We are on YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
Vernon says, my mental health is not doing good watching this game. Got it. Otis says hello. Reem is saying, let Kenny Atkinson coach. There are some people who are ready to say goodbye to Steve Kerr. Eric says Steph gets mauled with no whistles. Sometimes you see those games where his arms are all scratched up, right? Like you can see the contact that he took. Yes. Yes. J-Dub said Steph has never gotten a superstar whistle. I would agree with that. Salvador says Warriors had 19 turnovers. Yes, that was one of our 3 anti-keys to the game. One of the 3 reasons the Warriors lost this game. 19 turnovers the Warriors had led to 30 Memphis points. And Vince D says, yes, good to see Draymond back. I thought he played a very measured game. And when you hear the coaches saying this is a quiet team, this is a team that's lost its confidence, I don't expect Draymond to be a savior for the team, but he can inject a lot of things right away to help.
Correct. He can keep. I saw many plays tonight where he was, even with Steph, pointing.
Yeah.
Hey, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Right? There were so many plays tonight that he thwarted the defense, whether it was just helping on Roddy going to the basket or just being able to poke over and say, hey, I got you for a second, come back.
Yeah.
That level of, that helps when you're on the defensive end to know you got somebody like that on your back. But again, he can't fix everything. They got some other things that they got to go
through first. How much time in this block? Okay. Very specific.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. The Warriors, 3 games below.
That's how this game is going today.
Well, the word record was in my head, and if it's an R and a W, I'm like, record? Warriors? Record? Okay, wicky. All right, Wednesday at Utah, then they come home. You can see 4 games in this homestand, plus 4 days off, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Is this an opportunity to get right with some practice at a time in a season when you don't really get practice days?
Oh, absolutely. And not only is it going to be key for them to be able to get practice, this is opportunity, again, for Draymond to continue his conditioning back into the team, for them to continue to work out some of these new lineups and rotations that they've discovered while he was gone, and now trying to inject him back into those. I think that that's going to be time. You heard Kuminga say about the Andrew Wiggins-Kuminga experiment. We don't have that much time together. We haven't had that much time together, and throwing us out on the court to be able to tell us this is going to be the time for you to expose if you're good together or not, it's not enough time. So this is wonderful that the Warriors get this opportunity, but they still got some big games coming up. Utah is rolling right now. They're playing really well. And when you talk about that 3-point defensive aspect that they're struggling with, this is going to be a great team to practice that again, because Lauri Markkanen, shooting all the time. Okay, so I'm really intrigued by the upcoming schedule, just being able to have some time for the Warriors because they need it, but then also still have some really good competition on their schedule.
Maybe a scrimmage, maybe, we'll see. Finally, what did you think about Draymond coming off the bench in this game?
I like the way you put it. He was measured. I think he did exactly what he was supposed to come in and do: assists, rebounds. He shot the ball.
He did. Open with the 3.
Right, open with the 3. I think he hesitated a little bit on some of those, but I think that the way he came back was exactly what he needed, and he's just going to continue to ramp up. He's got to get back comfortable, but he played hard. He did what he was supposed to do. Okay,
onward to Utah.
Onward.
The Warriors a little bit closer to coming home. Can they turn it around? They would be 2-2 on the road trip, I believe, if they get the... Sometimes these games blur. Listen, we're about the halfway point of the season, the dog days of January. I know we're feeling it a little bit. Thank you guys for watching Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. We'll continue the conversation on YouTube. Yeah, Reem says, guys, Wiggins played well tonight on both ends. He definitely had an efficient night, 17 of 13.
Yeah.
Oz says, practice won't save us at this point. We need a trade. He wants to trade Wiggins, he or she, and stop holding on to the past. Very interesting. I think when you have a core that is this good, this is what I'm assuming you're talking about, holding on to the past, like Clay and Draymond and Steph. Maybe even throw Wiggins in there as well. He's had enough tenure, I think, with the team. Also, Looney. Yeah. Well, we never mentioned Looney. Coaches have to decide between their tried and true guys who won a championship, their veterans who have earned it, versus the new players who have not earned it yet, but look pretty good.
And are trying to prove it.
Yeah. I can't make these decisions.
This is precisely why we're not Mike Dunleavy Jr. or even Steve Kerr to play them.
Yeah.
Right? Making the decisions on who to play. It's an incredibly tough decision because, one, you're not out there. You're not with them out there on the floor to understand what's happening. And so it's easy to say this is happening because X, Y, and Z is happening around me when you're there, right? And so I'm wondering how much Steph Curry is having conversations with Dunleavy and Kerr to say, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm seeing. Yeah. As someone that's played in 36 of these 39 and now 37 of these 40 games and seen it, the highs and lows. But being someone on the outside, Kerr, Dunleavy, as Kerr, you can come in with a game plan, don't know how it's going to be executed. You don't know what to expect when it comes to your lineup and your consistency and things of that sort. Dunleavy, same thing in the sense of you can give people contracts and expect them to play a certain level and produce a certain level of play for that level of money that you've provided them. And then things change. Yeah. Players don't play the same way that you've expected them to play, Wiggins being one of those people for sure. And so it's a tough thing to do. But I think the fans that are saying a change has to happen, and they're talking about a trade and things of that sort, I can see why. Because it does. They need something. There's something has to give, as Steph said. So,
I just wrote something down for the podcast. Steph behind the scenes. How much is he talking? How much is he part of the decision making going forward? Does he have to be more of that decision making going forward, more than he's ever had to be in his career to preserve the playing time that he has left? You don't have to answer that. I'm just kind of wondering.
No. It's a great point. For me, I think about all these other teams. Particularly, you think about LeBron. Right.
I mean, that's coaching changes, GM changes.
Correct. You know what I'm saying?
LeBron puts a thumb on some things. Correct. This is what's going to happen.
Exactly. And this has happened at multiple teams where you've seen the superstars be directly involved in the conversations around who gets brought to the team, who you want around you, et cetera, et cetera. And it's kind of been a theme for Stephen Curry to say, I'm not. A part of that.
As far as we know, he's a little bit more hands off.
Correct.
Than that.
Correct. We don't actually know. Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know. So, but I think there is a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
As his window of time to play closes, I would imagine the voice gets a little bit louder.
I think so too.
So.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right. You've heard enough of our voices tonight. Thank you.